Welcome to a super edition of Beat the Odds. This is it. Last game of the season, our last show of the season. You're fired up. We're fired up. Let's go. Beat the Odds starts right now.
From our Las Vegas studios, this is Beat the Odds, sponsored by Superbook Westgate Las Vegas.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to the show inside our Las Vegas studio. I'm Dave Hall.
And I'm Mariah Janos. For the next 30 minutes, we're taking you to football betting school. How to bet the game, how to bet the props, and who our guys like to host up that shiny trophy.
Now, I have our first guaranteed prop bet win. You ready for this?
Okay.
Here's the bet. Will Fat Jack make a slightly inappropriate joke today?
Okay, give me $100 on yes.
All right, I put 200 on yes. That is a guaranteed winner.
Okay.
All right, it is the surest bet on the board, no doubt. Coming up on today's show, when not making those slightly inappropriate jokes, Fat Jack and Teddy will break down every angle of the game, the numbers they like, and the prop bets they think could cash.
Plus, I'll be chatting with two guys who won this game, Brandon Marshall and Robert Turbin, see who they like to win it, and which players could be the key. I'll be back in a little bit. Dave, over to you.
Should we just get the inappropriate joke out of the way?
I don't have anything. I was thinking about where to get my first tattoo and what it should say. So, I mean, yeah, we can talk amongst ourselves, take a Twitter poll or something, right?
It could say inappropriate joke.
To commemorate year one. I think there's a tattoo coming somewhere.
Well, guys, this is our 24th show of the season. So before we get into the meat and taters of this Sunday, it's time to toot your horns a little bit. You ready? Because let's rewind back 5 months to our very first show. You guys both loved Philly all the way back then.
When we're talking about a team that the wise guys like, that's Philadelphia. A squad that absolutely has seen sharp money all over them, over their win total, to win the division, to win the conference, to win the big game.
The big one, huh?
Yeah.
And I know you liked him too.
Yeah, I have a big bet on him right now. By the way,
Nice.
You've gotten more attractive during the course of the year. Congratulations.
Well, I couldn't get much worse.
No, I'll tell you, I've gained a little weight. Teddy's gotten better looking, so it's been a good year.
And there was the joke. All right, right on cue. So let's get into the game this Sunday, guys. What are you looking at?
Well, certainly we want to talk about how they got here and where's the money coming. And Philly right now, a team absolutely with, let's call it a betting bandwagon. 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread here in the postseason, where KC, not as much of a bandwagon when it comes to public support right now. They finished number 31 out of 32 teams in terms of profitability in the regular season. Only Tampa was worse.
Yeah, and Philadelphia is not only rewarded in the game when you're betting against the spread, but also first half, 14-5 against the number in the first half during the course of the season. So if you lined up as a Philadelphia fan, you've been rewarded with positive reinforcement. So yeah, a lot of that money's coming in now that we're into the end of the year.
And of course, when it comes to where the money has come for the big game, the early money poured in on Philly and the under when the lines were first posted. But we've seen some buyback. The money showing for the over now. KC injury report, all the receivers were banged up. It looks better now than it did when the line first opened. So we're certainly seeing over money come in as we approach the big game.
Well, and now that we're at the end, general public loves over. So people coming in from California into Nevada and all over the country, they like over, they like the favorite. That's been kind of the interesting thing, though. It's hard to play against Patrick Mahomes.
Sure.
Him as an underdog is very good against the spread. But Philadelphia, they've been getting it done easily, at least in the playoffs. So it's interesting to see where that late money will go as it relates to the number.
All right, good start. We're going to dive into prop bets coming up in the next segment. We had a little Beat the Odds team dinner over at the Westgate. The food was great and the company was even better, guys. Mariah is at the Superbook Westgate Las Vegas as they get ready for a super fun weekend.
Thanks, Dave. I'm here with Jay Cornegay, EVP of Superbook Operations here at the Westgate. Now, Jay, last week when I spoke with your colleague John, he had said that a lot of the money at first was coming in on Philly, and he anticipated maybe more money coming in on KC as we got closer to the game. Is that holding true? What kind of action are you guys seeing as we get closer to Sunday?
Yeah, well, we opened at Pick'em in Philadelphia, got all the way up to 2.5, and now it's back down to 1.5. I think the action is going to really reflect the line. It's almost a Pick'em. I think we're going to get equal amount of action on both of these teams. But who's to say? It might go a little 60-40 one way or another. But for right now, for bookmakers, Pick'em is a good number for us.
Now, prop bets are officially out. What advice do you have for maybe some beginner bettors who want to place a prop bet?
Well, the propositions are so popular these days. An average fan that comes in makes one wager on the game itself, but makes 6 or 7 prop wagers. But if you've never done it before, make sure you ask questions before you place your bet, and make sure that you understand it. We're not here to trick anybody. We want to make sure everybody fully understands what they're betting into.
Now, if someone sees a prop bet that they like, should they jump on it right away or maybe wait till closer to game time?
Well, it does vary, but this is an event that's really ruled by recreational play, and most of those bettors bet the overs and they bet the yeses. So if you're looking to bet any type of over, maybe earlier the better, but if you want to bet the under, maybe wait until the weekend because you might get a better number come Saturday or Sunday.
All right, Jay, thank you so much. Dave, we'll send it back to you in studio.
All right, thanks, guys. Betting on this game Sunday is expected to hit a record high this year, so we caught up with the American Gaming Association on the trends that they're seeing.
We're seeing exponential growth both in the numbers of people who want to bet and how much they're planning to bet. So our estimations this year is that more than 50 million American adults are going to bet up to $16 billion on this year's game alone. I think there's a lot of different reasons for it. There's some new states that came online. I think New York Mobile certainly adds a lot to that in terms of handle. But what this is a reflection of is growth of handle across the country. The growth of handle year over year was about 60% last year. And so this level of increase it coincides nicely with that in terms of how people plan to engage.
That survey also found fans are split. 44 expected to bet on Kansas City, another 44 on Philly. As for the other 12, I don't know. Well, everybody loves the prop bets. Jack and Teddy will be back to tell us which ones they like and which ones you might want to avoid. Plus, we're going to head to Phoenix and chat with our champ, Brandon Marshall, see who he likes to win that thing.
And as we take our first break, some people are calling Sunday's game the Kelsey Bowl since it features brothers Travis and Jason Kelsey. But are they the first brothers to play in the big game? Actually, they're not. Twin brothers and defensive backs Jason and Devin McCourty helped New England beat LA 13-3 in 2019.
Beat the Odds is sponsored by Superbook Westgate Las Vegas.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
Andrews, my sportswear collection for all women, is now officially licensed with more leagues. Women can support their teams in fashion-forward apparel everywhere, anywhere. Find it at fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
You love our show. Now you can get even more from BeatTheOddsTV.com. Betting lines, trends, and analysis of the big games.
The difference between a bad beat and a big win.
BeatTheOddsTV.com.
Hey, welcome back to Beat the Odds. Now it's time to talk those prop bets. You can bet on everything, even the coin toss. So let's do it right now, fellas. Heads or tails?
Minus 110, I'm not playing.
I think I'm one out of the last 11 links to the national anthem, so this is not my world.
Heads or tails?
Tails never fails.
Okay, what we got? Boom, tails! Jack, you just won
1-0.
$8 from Teddy.
I've been a big coin tosser. So.
Well, let's dive into some of these game props, guys.
Sure. And we want to talk about props. And we saw an issue early on where there were big concerns about the Kansas City receiving corps. Who's going to play, who isn't? Tony, Smith-Schuster, Hardman all banged up. Now that that's been kind of solidified, we've seen numbers up for those guys. But it was a big issue earlier in the process. And, of course, we talk about general strategies for betting these prop wagers. In general, you want to bet overs early before the public gets in and unders later after the public has already driven many of these numbers up.
And we talked about this before. Typically, as a sharp player, you want to look for betting more money to win a little bit of money versus what the general public will do, look at it like the lottery, a little bit of money to try to win a lot of money.
Gotcha.
My first one is total points in the game, first half being more than the second half. This is one that's about even money. Both these teams are fast starters. We talked about in the first segment, Philadelphia 14-5 against the spread in the first half. This is going to be the type of game both offenses going to really show important to get in their rhythm early.
Right.
And it also is a little protection against both these quarterbacks' injuries. If something happens to Mahomes or Hurts, they go down later in the game.
Right.
Obviously, points will drop off. So I like over the total as my first prop bet.
So I'm going to go with the fourth quarter to be higher scoring than the first quarter. You have to lay some juice with this prop. But it's a real simple concept. The over-under for the first quarter is 9.5. It could still go over, and we'll still cash this bet as long as the fourth quarter does what it's supposed to do. Generally in the big games, you see more scoring late than early. These tend to be slower starting affairs from the get-go. So I like fourth quarter to be higher scoring than the first quarter.
Yeah, I like to not leave the kickers out also. Under in field goals, 3.5 field goals. I think there's more points. Touchdowns will be a premium, so we're going to go under in field goals and hope they execute in the red zone.
All right, we're going to tackle player props next, guys, so hang tight. Now it's time to toot our horns again. We showed earlier how Teddy and Jack both love Philly all the way back in week 1. Well, guess who else did? Brandon. Let's talk about maybe a surprise team that you've kind of circled for this season and maybe a little under the radar who you think could make a run at this thing.
You know, I like Philadelphia. You know, I like what they've done in their defense. Hassan Reddick, James Bradbury, you know, 2 Pro Bowl guys. A.J. Brown, one heck of a receiver. So look,
good luck guarding him.
Absolutely. You know, they got Devonta Smith. You know, what they did to help out Jalen Hurts, I feel like this is going to be a good year for Philadelphia.
All right, so let's see if Brandon is sticking with Philly. Mariah, over to you.
Now we welcome in Brandon Marshall. He's the lucky one joining us from Phoenix. Brandon, I want to talk defense with you. Both of these teams are going to have their work cut out for them. What do each of these defenses need to do in order to lock in a win on Sunday?
Well, look, I'll start with Kansas City. Okay, we all know Philly they do have a high-powered offense. They have a top 5 rushing offense, but I don't think people really talk about Kansas City has a top 10 rush defense. So if they could, you know, keep Philly at bay as far as the run game goes, I think they have a chance to win this football game. And look, you know, we know Philly is going up against, you know, the most high, you know, powered offense, you know, with, you know, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, you know, those guys they have the number 1 pass offense in the league. But Philly does have the number 1 pass defense in the league as well. So those guys are even in that regard. Now, this game will I think it'll come down to pass rush. You know, it'll come down to pass rush. It'll come down to who can stop the run. And if Kansas City's defense can stop the run, and if Philly's defense can get to, you know, Patrick Mahomes and that hobbled ankle, then look, you know, it's going to be a game. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm excited to see, you know, which defense can get off the field on third down, who can stop the run, and who can put the most pressure on the opposing team's quarterback.
Now, Philly has that undrafted rookie at safety. He wasn't exposed by San Francisco, but can he handle Kansas City?
You know what? Against San Francisco, I didn't really think it was going to be a factor, but I think it'll be a factor against Kansas City because, look, Andy Reid is a master game planner. Patrick Mahomes will find the hole in any defense. So, you know, when I was playing, my coach said, we'll find the fish, right? Find the fish. That means that's the weak person of the group. So if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can find the fish, which is that rookie safety, and they can expose him, it's going to be a long day.
All right, now before I let you go, who do you think is going to take home the trophy?
Okay, who do I think is going to win? Who do I want to win? I would like Philly to win. I want to see Philly win. As a long-time Denver fan, and I play for Denver, you know, I have a salty taste in my mouth about Kansas City per usual, but I think Kansas City will win. It's tough for me to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at this time, and that's what it just comes down to. It's tough for me to bet against them, so I'm going to go with Kansas City.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much. Don't have too much fun out there this week.
All right, thanks you too. Well, we love the player props. Will Mahomes have a big day? What about Travis Kelce? Jack and Teddy will tell us what they like. Plus, Mariah talking with another champ, Turbo, Robert Turbin, the former bruising running back and now Sirius XM host, joins us next.
As we take a timeout, when it comes to who has the most championship rings, everyone points to the GOAT, Tom Brady. But does he really have the most rings? Actually, no, he doesn't. Brady's coach in New England, Bill Belichick, has 8 rings. In addition to the 6 he's won in New England, Belichick also has 2 from when he coached with the G-Men. Talk about greatness.
The Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Legendary. Vegas. Fun. Enjoy Westgate's classic gaming and entertainment. Savor fine dining. And experience the world's largest sportsbook, Westgate Superbook. It's all at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino.
Welcome back to Beat the Odds. Better wear some stretchy pants Sunday. It's the second biggest food day of the year after Thanksgiving. Americans will consume 325 million gallons of beer, 1.4 billion chicken wings, and 8 million pounds of holy guacamole.
Whoa. And that's just Jack's house.
That's just Jack.
Whoa!
I added stretch pants to my stretch, and then I've got suspenders, so I'm prepared for the day.
All right, well, we talked team props last segment. Let's hit on some player props now. Teddy, what do you have for us?
Sure, let's start with a couple guys from Kansas City that I'm targeting for the big game on Sunday. I'm going to start with Jerick McKinnon. Over 2.5 receptions. This is a guy who's going to be in the block a lot against that Philly pass rush. After he blocks, he's going to catch all the little dump-off passes. I think he gets more than 2.5 receptions. Let's take McKinnon over the number. Another over I'm looking at is Justin Reed, KC safety, over 5.5 tackles. He went over 5.5, 5 of the last 6 games, and Philly wants to run the football. Who gets tackles when the opposing team wants to run the football? The linebacker and the safeties. Like Reed over tackles. You can get that even at a plus price at some locations.
All right, a couple lesser-known guys.
Yeah, lesser-known guys. We've got to dig a little deeper in the prop sheet. I go right to the high-profile billboard guys. I mean, let's look at some key players that we think are going to have big games, all based on the fact that I like a lot of points in the game. Travis Kelce, over 6.5 receptions. He's been the type of player this year that, especially since Week 15, he has gone over almost every single week, averaging over 8.5 receptions a game since then, over 10.5 receptions in the playoffs. It doesn't matter if Patrick Mahomes is hurt, not hurt, whatever. They've got to get him involved. I might be a little scared of the yardage situation because it might be a lot of under stuff, but with the shuttle passes, different things they do, over the 6.5 receptions, even laying some juice. Next, Patrick Mahomes, over 1.5 touchdowns. A lot of times you can find value in these prop bets based on all of the money that's going to be coming in. They can't set the line at actually what the implied probability would be based on what's happened. So with Patrick Mahomes, he's gone over 1.5 touchdowns 6 of his last 7 games. That's an implied probability of -600. Well, you're not having to lay that. You lay about -200 in a guy that's going to go over that touchdown total most of the time.
All right, playing the value there. Thanks, guys. Well, we brought in another heavy hitter for our Super Show, a man who made linebackers tremble and got himself a ring with Seattle. Mariah chats with Robert Turbin.
And now I'd like to bring in an offensive mind of the game, Robert Turbo Turbin. He is also joining us from Phoenix, that lucky dog. All right, Turbo, I want to get right into it. Both of these offenses are extremely high-powered. What are you expecting from each side in order for them to win this game?
Well, if you look at Philly's offense, really what they do is multiple, but it gives Jalen Hurts and really the scheme options to make choices that are best fit for that particular play. If you're talking about pre-snap and then post-snap, a lot of it when you talk about the RPO, run pass option, or if you're talking about read zone, which is whether you're going to give it to the running back or the quarterback is going to pull it himself and run. Those decisions are made by the defensive choices. And so for me, it's just about continuing what you've been doing all season long. And they've executed it really well. And that's why they're in this game. For Kansas City, their offensive approach has got to be about protecting Patrick Mahomes. We understand that a couple weeks ago he had the ankle. I'm sure he's feeling much better now. But for Kansas City to be able to be progressive in this football game, they're going to have to contain that Philadelphia defensive line. And that's going to be, not necessarily trick plays, but off-schedule type plays, those fly sweeps, those motions. These are things that they do really well, Kansas City. And obviously the untimed plays from the quarterback spot. Patrick Mahomes is going to have to make some plays outside of the pocket if Kansas City wants to have a real shot at winning this football game.
Now, before I let you go, I want to know a little bit more about your Sirius XM shows. You crushed it this season, but can you just talk to me a little bit about what that whole experience was like?
Man, I've had so much fun on Sirius XM doing late hits every Friday night with my man Alex Marvez, so much fun, so great, just talking ball all season long. We would do what's called the Friday Four, which is the 4 games that really stick out to me the most. It's not always the most glamorous game, right? It's not the most popular team, but for particular reasons, those games would stick out to us going into the week. And then doing the tailgate show every Sunday morning this season as well has been a lot of fun. It's one of those shows on SiriusXM. That you're listening to right before kickoff, essentially, right when we're done with our show. Kickoff is literally an hour from the time that we finish.
All right, Turbo, thank you so much. Enjoy your week down in Phoenix.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so this is making us kind of sad, but coming up, it's our final segment of the season. Jack and Teddy will be back with their top picks.
Coming at you from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world.
You love our show. Now you can get even more from BTOddsTV.com. Betting lines, trends, and analysis of the big games.
The difference between a bad beat and a big win.
The interviews, the stories, plus a unique spin on sports history. Your ticket to in-depth content as seen on the show is all at BTOddsTV.com. Check it out today.
Welcome back. And how we got to this point, I have no idea, you guys.
Started at the bottom, now we're here, right?
Seriously.
It's our last segment of the season. All right, top picks. It's always great. You guys have been crushing this all season. Teddy, big game. What do you got?
Let's call it KC 27, Philly 21. I like KC to win, and I think it's going to be a relatively low possession ball game. I think both teams going to play ball control. Makes me lean to the under as well as the side. Jack.
Yeah, I think if it's low possession, I like the other side for sure. If it's high possession, which I think it's going to be, lots of offense out of Kansas City, I like the total to go over. They've also been real consistent about going over against good to great defenses, using their imagination offensively, at least in early downs. I think Kansas City scores a lot. Because of that, Philly has to score a lot over the total.
All right, excellent stuff. Before we go, we got some programming notes. We're going to be back actually next month with a college basketball championship special. Then to help you prepare to bet the horses in May, we're going to have a show, and then a pro basketball championship primer. So check your local listings for these special shows.
Yes, and let's send a special thanks to all of our great television affiliates and our friends at the Yes Network and Cox Media for their incredible support all season long.
And of course, a huge thanks to Jack, Teddy, Mariah, Brandon Marshall, our team of producers and directors, Nanelle, who bosses us around and basically keeps us in line. Thanks to her, and thanks to everybody at home. It's been a blast this year, you guys.
Yeah, great time. Excited about the future.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Till next time on Beat the Odds.
And thanks to Jack's wife for his tightening cream on his skin.
There we go.
Wow. That's a perfect way to end it.